Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us over your lunch hour today for another one of our WESC webinars. My name is Lola Adibogan, and I am WESC Marketing and Admin Assistant. Our topic today is Getting Smart About Your Money, Healing Your Money Story, presented by Kathleen O'Grady, who is a financial recovery coach. If you have any questions for Kathleen as we go through the presentation, please feel free to submit them in the Q&A box, not the regular chat box. However, do feel free to use the regular chat box to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your business. And as always, this webinar is being recorded and will be available for on-demand viewing. You'll receive an email tomorrow at this time with a link to the recording. With that, I'll pass it over to you, Kathleen, to now begin the presentation.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming out today and joining Getting Smart About Your Money, Healing Your Money Story. Again, my name is Kathleen O'Grady, and I share my screen. Can everybody see my screen?
Not quite yet.
Not quite yet? Okay, just a minute. IT person, can you help? Where is that? I thought I shared it. Sorry. Just a second here. Okay. Okay, good. Okay.
Move the window up so you can see the share.
Where's that?
Drag the window up.
This window up?
Yes.
Okay.
Over.
Just a second. Oh, share. Here we go. Okay. I'm glad I have an IT person in the family here.
Wonderful.
So thanks again. Thanks everybody for joining Getting Smart About Healing Your Money Story. My name is Kathleen O'Grady, and would like to start and say, as we gather here today, we acknowledge we are on Treaty 6 territory and the homeland of the Métis, and we pay respect to the First Nations and Métis ancestors of this place and reaffirm our relationship with one another. Just to reiterate, if you can share your questions or chat now is great, but questions, wait, I'll answer those at the end. So a little bit about me. Some of you might know me as a fashion designer in Saskatoon, but today I'm putting on another hat, and that's of a financial recovery coach. I came to money coaching from my own challenges and the disconnect I had with money. I struggled with being self-reliant and having money. I lived paycheck to paycheck. And I had a lot of shame about money. So it's really, since I got into financial recovery, maybe 15 or more years ago, I've seen a difference in my life and have a very different relationship with money now. I had a lot of money shame, as I mentioned. And after I was married, and my husband and I used to fight about money a lot, and we don't anymore, which is an attestament to the transformative work that this has been for me. And so I first heard about financial recovery when I lived in Seattle. I've moved back to Saskatoon, which is my home. And I've been back here for about 12, 13 years, but I would lived in Seattle for about 12 or 13 years. And I was at a women's business meeting, not unlike WESC. And when I was at this particular meeting, I heard this woman speaking about money and financial recovery. And so it was the first time in my life that I'd ever heard anybody speak about money in this particular way. And it made sense to me because I had struggled all my life with money and had a very big disconnect with with it. And so I started working with her as a financial recovery coach, and I started to see changes in my life. And then eventually I started working with her mentor, Karen McCall, who is the founder of Financial Recovery Institute in Vancouver, Washington. And now I'm working with Karen to become certified as a financial recovery coach. And as a financial recovery coach, I work with people to help them on their journey of financial recovery. There's a great quote by David Kruger. Your relationship with money is the longest relationship of your life. So really from, I'm encapsulating this here, from the cradle to the grave, money is a big part of our lives. It touches so much a part of what we do, what choices we make, what choices we are unable to make because we don't have it. So money follows us through all of our days, and having a good relationship with our money is crucial for us to be able to have our dreams met and live a life of joy and have a good life. So what we'll cover today is the situation that many of us find ourselves in when it comes to money. And then we'll talk about, how did I get here? How did I get into this situation of difficulty and challenges with money, and all the stress that comes with the challenges? And then we'll talk about the way out, which is financial recovery. So let's talk about the situation here. So we might find ourselves in a lot of debt, and we might be living paycheck to paycheck, and we're having difficulty getting through the month. And we might have no savings, and this amounts to a lot of stress. I'm not sure the printing on these different tiers of the diagram, you can't see that well, but we'll get into each of them in detail. But just to say, this concept was created by Karen McCall, my mentor, and to convey what she calls the money life drain. And so as we go through down the money life drain to this vortex, it becomes narrower and narrower and more constricted, and we start to have a feeling of being squeezed. And needless to say, this is a lot of stress that we can feel because of this. So now let's talk about each of these levels. So level 1, financial burdens, debt, out of control expenses. We've got expenses that are growing and we're having trouble keeping up. We're juggling funds. We're using credit cards for family loans. We might refinance the house. And despite the consequences, you're unable to change the behavior, unable to change the spending habits. They continue. Level 2, there's an inability to save and pressure to work more. There's pressure to find another job, to make ends meet, and or pay off debt. And we might start, as I mentioned earlier, to borrow against equity in the house, and maybe even dip into retirement savings. Level 3, our relationships are stressed. We argue with our significant other and family members. As I mentioned earlier, my husband and I used to fight about money all the time. He came from a belief system about money that was very different than mine. And so we had a lot of challenges with that. But again, we both came to our own inner work to overcome this, and financial recovery for me has been key in this. So we possibly spend more time alone, we're feeling isolated, and maybe we owe borrowed money from friends and family, and maybe we're unable to pay them back. So all of these things are adding up. Level 4, our health and well-being become compromised. So we're feeling anxious and we have inability to sleep. And by the way, since COVID hit, this has even exacerbated this situation more. So yeah, so it's just made it even more amped up. So we may start using alcohol or drugs to be able to deal with the stress or sleep. And we're exhausted. We feel depleted and we feel like we're on overwhelm all the time. Level 5. So this is the overall result of the money life drain: financial, emotional, and spiritual depletion. We're emotionally spent. How's that for a good word for money being spent? So we are emotionally spent by this time. And there's a deep sense of longing that won't go away. And this longing has to do with our needs that we're wanting to have met, but we can't meet them because we don't have the financial resources to do that. Things are spinning out of control. This vortex is becoming narrower and narrower, and we are feeling squeezed. And we start to give up on our dreams because we have these dreams, and the funnel is getting narrower. And then from all of this, we start to feel that maybe we actually don't even deserve. So this is an awful feeling. All of these 5 tiers, when you put them all together, it's a very painful place. Here's a great quote by Karen. An unhealthy pattern of relating to money can affect every aspect of our lives. And this is true wherever we may be on the economic spectrum. And it's true of a single parent struggling to live on a limited income. And it's equally true for those who have tremendous financial resources but are not managing them well. So the key here is being able to manage them well. And so it doesn't matter what spectrum that you're on, because I've known lawyers and accountants, forensic accountants, even doctors and other highly educated people who have struggled with these issues. So this is not about how educated you are. So there are 3 behaviors that land us in the money life drain, and we'll go into these a little more. First of all, there's under-earning. There's overspending, and then there's chronic debting. So under-earning, what is under-earning? Under-earning is a pattern of earning below what we need to care for ourselves and provide for ourselves, and it's also earning below our potential. And it's under-earning is also being unaware of how much money that you need to live and save. And it's also undervaluing your work and not knowing how much to charge and giving it away. So this bullet number 3 here, as an artist, I know this one very well, not charging what my artwork is worth. I struggled with that for many years, and yeah. And then there's overspending. So you're living beyond your means and unaware of how much money you need to live each month. And then emotional spending. What is emotional spending? Emotional spending is when we're spending because we want to feel good. We want to feel good. We want to feel better about ourselves and the discomfort that we're going through. So we spend. So then it becomes this ongoing cycle. And I love this quote by Karen, speaking about emotional spending. As my mentor, Karen, says, you can never get enough of what you don't need. Very simple but powerful. It's kind of like, I'm not sure if it's an oxymoron or a Zen koan or what, but very powerful. So chronic debting. Chronic debting is binge debting, paying off debts, and then ending up where we were again. So it takes us down the money life drain. We're this chronic debting, and we end up paying off our debts, and then we land in the same place of being in debt again. And so this can be a chronic debting cycle where you're living in reaction rather than intentional living and spending. It's just this, like being on a hamster on a wheel, just going all the time. And it becomes crazy making. And it's like, how do you get off, rhetorically, how do you get off the treadmill? Because it's going, and while it's going, we're becoming spent, we're exhausted. And yeah, it's a very sad and painful place to be. So let's talk about, how did we get here? So some reasons may include family messages and beliefs and stories and societal messages and myths, which can include teachers in school, church and religion, popular culture, books and fairy tales. And I would like to clarify here that I'm not talking about poverty per se, because I know that there are social, societal, structural issues that cause poverty. I'm talking here about our ability to be independent, to take care of ourselves, and to achieve the dreams that we deserve. So some of the family messages that we might have got, for example, the first bullet there, people who have lots of money are blank, blank, blank. So if you thought that people with money were mean or rude or arrogant, maybe the belief was, well, if I have money, I might be like them. And if I don't want to be like them, then maybe I will just, I don't want to have money. Maybe the message was, we don't talk about money. And bullet number 3, certainly in my generation and my family, there wasn't an expectation that I would go to university. Certainly, I've been to college and taken university classes and had lots of different education. But the message, the expectation, there wasn't one that I would go to university. And let me clarify here as well. What's important here is that no one ever said that to me, but the message I internalized made it not a priority. So I wasn't supported for being independent and taking care of myself. So it's the internalized messages that we get, and then we create belief systems around those. And those beliefs may not be serving us anymore. So that message of the not going to university, or the one that I internalized, was, or these ones, which are societal messages from teachers in school. You're not good at math. I felt that I wasn't good at math. You're not good with numbers. And that the message with that becomes and translates into, okay, you're not capable. And if you're not capable, well, maybe you're not capable with money either, because money is all about numbers. And I mentioned earlier that I had a lot of shame around money. And certainly some of these messages I got in school. So church and religion. So from the Bible, and aside from these important teachings, it might lead us, it's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. So this could be, translated or into thinking that money is sinful or tainted. And so actually Michael Ann Valterra from Noble Poverty has said, she's defined noble poverty as the belief that there's virtue in not having money and that good people don't have it. And people with this mindset live by a phrase: it's better to be good and poor than rich and evil. So noble poverty is such that she has described here. And then money is the root of all evil, which actually is a misquote. It's not money is the root of all evil. It's the love of money is the root of all evil. And then we've got popular culture, and there are a lot of these. But just a couple of examples might be, okay, friends are more important than money. I know that this was on the shopping bags. Lululemon had these on their shopping bags, I don't know how many years ago. And in and of itself, this is fine. But what this saying could be interpreted as money is bad and that we need to choose between either friends or money. And then men take care of women. And for this one, we think of the different movies that men take care of women. Men are the strong ones and women are dependent. And one of the really big ones that certainly affects women, and this is my lived experience, that, whatever our experience and challenges are with money, these are some of the factors that affect us all in different ways. And certainly one of them that affects women is the rescue myth, such as Prince Charming in fairy tales. So that comes to save the damsel in distress, such as Cinderella, Snow White, and Sleeping Beauty. So Prince Charming Isn't Coming by Barbara Stanny. This is a great book. And Prince Charming Isn't Coming. It's an amazing book. It's a fantastic read, and it's riveting. And she's the daughter, we all know H&R Block, and her father and her father's brother owned H&R Block. And at 21 years of age, Barbara Stanny was given a trust fund worth millions of dollars by her father. And he said to her, "Barbara, you'll never have to worry about money again." So the family message was the man will manage the money. And then after 2 husbands who spent all her money, she came to realize she had to do it herself. And then she became an authority on handling money. So she learned she needed to and could do it herself. Another great quote, the rescue myth has been so tightly woven into our social conditioning, I sometimes wonder if it hasn't worked its way into our genetic code. And who is Prince Charming? Prince Charming, in truth, is nothing more than a projection of our disowned selves. He rose out of the ashes of our perceived incompetence, out of our lack of self-trust. He is the self we refuse to see, like there is something intrinsically wrong with me. We deny our potential power, projecting it onto a person, real or imagined, which becomes the prince who will save us. And then finally, when we finally recognize the prince inside of ourselves, we discover that we do have access to those princely qualities we thought that we lacked. And so getting smart about money is not something that other people do. And so Prince Charming can be maybe I mentioned it farther down the way, but Prince Charming can be parents, it can be significant other, it can be an inheritance, that we're kind of abdicating our responsibility to think that we'll be saved if we just hold out long enough until that inheritance money comes in, for example, or whatever we make our Prince Charming. So getting smart about money is not something that other people do. You can do it too. So we have the way out now. Let's talk about the way out, which is financial recovery. And financial recovery involves both the outer work and the inner work. So outer work is financial tracking and planning. And this includes tracking your spending and income and creating a monthly plan and a yearly plan that's specific to you. And then when you've got this plan, you keep checking in with your plan and you'll become familiar with it, with what you're spending, when and how and on what. And then you can adjust course as needed to know where you can be spending and where maybe you need to stop spending. And so this process becomes your friend because it helps get you closer to your dreams. And that's what we all want, is we want to have our dreams. And I love this quote by, I don't want to mess his name up, but planning is important. The author of The Little Prince said this: "A goal without a plan is just a wish." And so we have a financial tracking and planning tool, which is Money Grit. And this is the plan that I use. This is the tool that I use for both personal and business. And it was designed and created by Karen McCall. And it's a wonderfully designed, elegant system for tracking and planning. So the outer work, continuing on with that, outer work, financial tracking and planning. So we've been talking about numbers, and historically that's where I would want to glaze over, because I thought, oh God, they're so boring and why do I have to do them? But there's also a feeling side and to this process. And so when we start to track our finances, that can bring up resistance, and along with resistance can come uncomfortable feelings. But when we're willing to experience the uncomfortable feelings as we go through the process, that actually is what brings about change. Because when we think of our spending pattern, our habits and patterns of being churning, and on this hamster treadmill, while we're spending this money, we're also avoiding how we feel. And so it's this catch-22. We want to avoid how we feel, so we spend, we debt, we do all these behaviors. So when we stop that process and start to track our finances, it's not surprising that there will be some resistance. But the resistance is a good thing. And this is where we want to be gentle with ourselves and kind, because it's a long journey, and we need to, if we want to change the behaviors, this is part of the process. So that then brings us to the inner work of understanding your money story. And that involves becoming aware of patterns and feelings around money. And as I mentioned, we need to be gentle and compassionate with ourselves as we go through these changes, because we're making big changes, and we don't just arrive at being recovered. We have to go through a process, and we also need to be around safe people that we can talk to about these things that we're going through, because this is about coming out of shame, and coming out of shame is important to being recovering financially and having the lives that we want. And so this process of recovery is not linear, and it takes time. But also know that change will come. Just stay the course, and slowly, slowly change will come. And so this brings us to the exercise of writing your money autobiography. And this is an important exercise that gives you understanding of what has informed your beliefs about money from childhood to adulthood. And it also helps you identify current behaviors that you would like to change. And in case you're interested, I will be doing a 4-week workshop where we'll be writing our money autobiographies, and I'm calling it Discovering Your Money Story, Writing an Autobiography. So there'll be 4 Saturdays for 1.5 hours each, and I have the dates there on the poster. And by the way, Lola will email everyone who has registered for this workshop. She will email the PDF of the details on this. And if you would like to email me or call me for more information, please feel free to do that. And I would like to leave you with a quote of another one of my mentors, which says, "Hope is the gift of believing that things can be different. Hope whispers encouragement in our ear. It can get better. It will. And you can do this." So thank you very much for attending this workshop. And if you're interested in signing up for the workshop, or you'd like more information about financial recovery coaching, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. And again, thanks for everyone for coming to the workshop. As Lola mentioned, you'll be able to access this talk on WESC, I think by tomorrow at the same time. And I'm going to take any questions that there may be. And let me just find those questions. Q&A. I'm not sure if there's any questions. Maybe there's some chat. 29. Okay, good. So I'll just go through these. I'm not sure what our time is right now, but I'll just start going through these. Oh, hi, Monica. Hi, everyone. Read from Regina. Different people saying hello, full visual artists, leadership and trainer coaches, people from Estevan, people who specialize in dance. And let me just see if there's any questions here. Okay. Yeah, everybody from all these different, somebody from Wisconsin, wow. All these wonderful people. I guess there are no questions.
I see one question now.
What's that? There is? Okay. Let me just go up to, I've got 2 screens I'm going, that's why I'm looking way up. Oh, there we go. Let me just get rid of the chat here. Good question. Are there special issues that entrepreneurs experience? Hi, Carolyn. Josie is going to. Josie, are you answering this live, or this was just me? That's okay. Anyway, I'm.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no.
I'm just talking to the moderator. Sorry. So, Carolyn, are there special issues that entrepreneurs experience? Well, yes, there are. Things like cash flow. Comes to mind because we're always worried about that and paying the rent on our business offices or wherever that may be. Having entrepreneurs, so people with businesses, we want to make sure that we're when we're creating a spending plan, that we know what we need for our house and home first, and then when we if we have a business, that would kind of dovetail with a personal plan. I'm not sure if I'm answering that correctly. They're entrepreneurs. Feast or famine certainly happens a lot. That's a common story. And so I know for my business as a clothing designer, you know, December is a really big month. There's a lot of, you know, big cash influx then, but then we've got COVID now. And so lots of different things going on with COVID. So yeah. Any more questions? I'd be happy to answer. Or chats.
Well, thank you so much, Kathleen, for that absolutely wonderful presentation. While I do a little closing remarks there, if any questions pop up, you may answer them after. But yeah, thank you so much for that very informative webinar. And thanks for all of you who took time out of your lunch or out of your busy days to join us today. Next month is our Marketing Madness. So we have some wonderful presenters lined up for every single Wednesday in March, presenting all about marketing. The event is now up on our website, so if you wish to register, you may. And I think there's one question now in the chat box.
Okay, let me just go up there. Get over to my screen here. I've got this double. Yeah, here we go. Question. Okay, so Nita, so basically, how can we manage money by saving or by earning and planning? I think I'm not sure what you mean, Nita. So you do manage your money, because when you know, when you have a plan, then you can, with all the different categories that you're spending your money in going, outgoing every month, and then yearly. It's great when you can get to do a yearly plan, but we start with a monthly plan. Then you can manage it. Managing money is done by knowing how much you spend and when. What are the ways to manage money? Nita also asks. The ways to manage money are, again, by when we create a monthly plan. We've got all the different categories, and we can, if we're spending too much money in one category, we can adjust course during the week, during the month, so that we can kind of massage things around. And by the way, this is having a plan is not the same as a budget. It's very different than having a budget, because a budget speaks to kind of a restrictive feeling. When we have a spending plan, that's much more spacious and a generous, more of a spacious feeling. So we get to know, the more that we work with our plan and the categories, then we get to know and understand how we are living our lives, and then where we want to spend, and all the different categories. And then the goal is to be able to have our dreams again. And without a plan, we're not able to do that. Patricia has a question here. Do you have any idea of how to divide your earnings percentages? At this point, no, I don't actually know what that would be. But then again, when you get familiar with your plan, when you've got the numbers that are there in front of you, then you'll get to make decisions on what the percentages are for dividing and where you want to put those. I hope that makes sense. And key to planning is having doing a monthly spending plan. And it's not something that's maybe necessarily easy at first if you're not familiar with doing this, but slowly you get to know that plan, because it's all about your life and how you know the categories that you have, and you get to intimately know that plan. You're welcome, Nita. Oh yeah, and Patricia, thank you.
Well, that's absolutely wonderful. I think that is all our questions for today. So I think I
Okay.
will now end this webinar. But thank you so much, Kathleen, and look out for your inbox. I will be sending the link to the workshop that she'll be holding in March. You don't want to miss that. So thank you all. Have a
Thank you,
wonderful
Lola.
rest of your afternoon.
Thanks, Lola. Take care.